It was raining that day. I held an umbrella and went to pick up my grandson Caleb from school. But just as I reached the steps at the school gate, my foot slipped and I fell hard. A kind stranger ended up rushing me to the hospital. I lay in the hospital bed, cold sweat pouring down from the pain, and reached for my phone to message my family. I wanted Joe's father to pick up Caleb, his mother to warm up some food at home, and my daughter Lauren to swing by the hospital to get me. I typed out each message carefully, one by one. But just as I hit send, nothing. The screen flashed. Service suspended due to unpaid balance. My mind went blank. My body was shaking from the cold and hunger. I lay there for hours. No one came. Finally, the hospital curtain was yanked open. It was Joe, my son-in-law. He stormed in like a thunderclap, voice cutting through the air. "Emily, what the hell were you doing?" Caleb was crying his eyes out at school. "My parents are home hungry waiting for dinner. Do you ever think about how much you make things harder for us?" I froze. I'm 2 years older than his parents. I slowly turned my head toward Lauren, who stood silently beside him, saying nothing. I looked at her and asked, my voice soft but catching with emotion, "Do you think I'm a burden too?" It didn't feel like a hard question. When Greg died in that car accident, Lauren was only 3. His parents never liked me. After they split Greg's life insurance and property, they disappeared. Not a single phone call since. Certainly no help raising their granddaughter. It was my own parents, elderly as they were, who helped me get through those years and raise Lauren. I survived those dark nights alone, put her through college, watched her walk down the aisle in her wedding dress. The reason I moved into their home in the first place was because, during her pregnancy, Joe came to me himself. He told me his parents had never truly taken care of him, and he wanted his child to have a dependable grandma so he could focus on his career. When I saw Lauren's pregnant belly, I felt a sharp ache in my chest. I said nothing and moved in. I never once begged for money. I live off my pension and manage just fine. But once I moved in, I became the cleaner, the cook, the chauffeur. Everything. I always taught Lauren that the most important things in life are independence and dignity. I thought she understood me. But now, in response to my simple question, she only furrowed her brow and rubbed her temples as if I were adding to her stress. "Mom, Joe and I both have work tomorrow. The house is a mess. We came all the way here to pick you up. What more do you want?" That moment felt like a nail had been hammered straight into my chest. That was her answer. Pain surged from my hip like ice water, freezing its way to my heart. I looked at my daughter, opened my mouth but couldn't get a word out. Joe stood beside my bed, looking me up and down, lips curled with impatience. "You're really getting careless in your old age, huh? Emily, is it serious? Did you break anything?" That moment of concern from him actually made my heart soften for a second. They're a couple. His attitude was hers too. I told myself people have emotions, sometimes they say the wrong thing. As long as they still ask, "Are you okay?" I could believe it wasn't all bad. But before I could finish, Joe cut me off. "Who's going to pick up Caleb now? Who's cooking? Who's doing the housework? I've got a conference in Boston next week and a million things on my plate. You really picked the worst time to fall." I stared at him. In his eyes, were those all just my duties? I had treated him like my own son, but to him I was nothing more than a live-in maid. No, a maid who pays to stay. Even getting injured was something to blame me for. My face darkened. Lauren must have sensed it. She gently patted Joe's back and gave a sheepish smile. "Mom, he didn't mean it like that. Don't take it to heart. What did the doctor say? When can you be discharged? I'll take you home and let you rest." "Take me home?" Joe scoffed. "And who's supposed to look after her? It's not like we can afford full-time care." His voice wasn't low. It rang out across the hospital room. The other patients and their families had been quietly chatting, but now they fell silent and slowly pulled their curtains shut, pretending not to hear a thing. My face burned. Not from embarrassment, but because I couldn't stand having our private mess aired out like this in front of strangers. But at that moment I knew, some things needed to be said. I didn't fall and stay down because I couldn't get up. I stayed down because the pain was so sharp I physically couldn't stand. Thankfully, a kind passerby helped get me to the hospital. The doctor said there were no fractures. Just a pulled muscle in my thigh. A few days of rest and I'd be back on my feet. I have a pension. I'm not strapped for money and I never expected them to hire a full-time caregiver. All I had hoped for was that Joe's parents could help rotate some of the chores. Cooking, cleaning, picking up Caleb just temporarily. The three of us elders are still in decent shape. Taking turns with housework wouldn't exhaust anyone, and certainly wouldn't be too much to ask of a young couple trying to juggle work and parenting. My fall, this little accident, wasn't supposed to blow up into some dramatic family meltdown. But then Joe's expression turned cold. He glanced at Lauren and said, "Lauren, I married you, not your mother. I've already done more than my share trying to manage your little 2-for-1 deal. But my parents aren't here to be her maids." The words were aimed at Lauren, but every syllable struck at me. He might as well have said, "Your mother doesn't belong in our home." Felt like someone had taken a dull blade to my chest. I had only meant to explain that I wasn't seriously injured, but suddenly I didn't feel like justifying anything. I looked him square in the eye. "Joe, let's not rewrite history. I was doing just fine back in my own home. It was you who came to me asking me to move in. You said your parents couldn't handle housework, and you didn't want Lauren going through pregnancy alone." I straightened up, my voice calm but firm. "Who took care of her through the pregnancy? Who changed diapers in the middle of the night? After Caleb was born, who stayed up rocking him to sleep? Who cooked, cleaned, did the laundry? You want to list chores? Pick one I didn't do." The room went quiet. I've never been one for dramatic speeches, but some things, if you don't say them out loud, will get twisted into a different story. Tomorrow I'd be known as the mother-in-law who just wouldn't leave. Joe clearly didn't expect me to speak up. His face turned a blotchy mix of red and white. His eyes darted to Lauren, like he was waiting for her to smooth things over. I pulled the blanket off and started shifting upright, ready to leave. But before I could throw my legs over the side, a hand gently pressed down on my shoulder. It was Lauren. She didn't look at me, just stared down and started talking fast. "Mom, don't take it so hard, okay? Joe's not totally wrong. We're both so busy, everything's overwhelming, and we really don't have the capacity to take care of you too." She paused, fumbling. "Maybe you could stay at the hospital a few extra days? Or maybe we could hire someone? Like the kind of home aide Lucy has. You wouldn't mind, would you?" She was our old neighbor. A sad woman with a tragic life, widowed young, her only son killed in a car crash. No family left. She'd hired the cheapest caregivers she could afford. In the end, she was diagnosed with dementia and died alone in a care facility. Everyone who knew her pitied her. But I'm not Lucy. I have a daughter. I have a family. I have decades I poured into building that family. And still, standing in Lauren's eyes, I was no different than a lonely, forgotten old woman. A chill crept over me. It hit me then. Lauren truly did see me as a burden. I said nothing. And when Joe and Lauren realized I had gone silent, they just left. A while later, the girl in the bed next to mine returned. She carried a takeout box and looked over at me, still alone, her eyes full of gentle concern. "Ma'am, is your daughter still not here?" I picked up an extra hot bar box from Whole Foods, chicken soup and grilled cheese. "Want to share it with us?" I glanced at the $30 bill crumpled in my hand, the one Lauren had slipped me earlier, and didn't know how to answer her. Thankfully, her mom called her away before I had to. My phone still had no signal. The account must have been suspended. No data, no calls. I couldn't even get out of bed. The space around me felt hollow and still. No one came. The smell of hospital food floated through the room and my stomach twisted. I tapped on my phone's screen mindlessly, as if that would drown out the empty gurgle from inside me. A few minutes later, the girl returned and gently placed a sandwich and soup on my bedside table. I looked up, flustered, and whispered, "Thank you, sweetheart. Could you help me find the Wi-Fi password around here? My phone's service is down." She smiled, nodded, and pointed to a small notice board beneath the television. I connected to the hospital's public network and opened Facebook. At the top of my feed was a fresh post from Nancy, Joe's mother. A family photo. All 5 of them were at Ocean Blue, a seafood restaurant in the Bay Area. That place is no joke, at least $100 a head. In the photo they were beaming. Plates full of oysters, lobster, cocktails. Even Lauren was smiling like her world had never known stress. But just last night at dinner, Joe had complained my cooking was too bland. Said he was losing weight. He didn't say it outright, but the implication was clear. I wasn't making enough meat dishes. They've never given me a single cent toward groceries. Every month, I stretch my $2,000 pension to cover utilities, household supplies, gas, snacks for Caleb, and still put dinner on the table every night. Even when the budget's tight, I make sure every meal is balanced and nourishing. And Joe says I cook too bland? It stung. Lauren had just laughed it off. We're just broke, Mom. Once we start making more money, we'll take you to a real restaurant. Somewhere fancy. And now, just like that, they could blow a few $100s on dinner while tossing me $30 to fend for myself in a hospital room. In that moment, everything suddenly became clear. If I couldn't count on them now, what made me think I could rely on them when I was truly old and helpless? I could still walk, eat, manage on my own. And whatever days I had left, I wanted to live them for myself. For once. As for Lauren, I didn't owe her anything. She could go on being the perfect wife and daughter-in-law for someone else. I wouldn't get in the way. That very day, I asked the nurse to help me arrange a temporary caregiver. 2 more days of rest and I'd be discharged. I was going back to my old house. During those 2 days, I didn't call Lauren. And she didn't try to reach me. It wasn't until the day I was discharged that I stood in front of the house, our house, and realized something strange. After living there for 5 years, I didn't even have a key. In the mornings when I took Caleb to school, I'd return home and cook for his grandparents. The door would already be open, no key needed. At night when I picked him up, the key was on a lanyard around his neck. Only then did it hit me. Just like that door, I was never truly part of this home. I was still standing outside when I heard Joe's voice from inside. Lauren, let's be honest. This whole thing is your mom's fault. If she hadn't fallen, my dad wouldn't have had to go pick up Caleb. Now he's hit someone and we're looking at a huge payout. She should cover it. Hit someone? Compensation? I didn't even have time to process before Lauren's voice floated down the hallway. Ugh, if only she'd been hit by a car instead of falling on her own. At least then we could have gotten some insurance money. But now, all we've done is spend money on that hospital stay. What a waste. Hearing that, it felt like someone had hit me from behind hard. My legs buckled and I stumbled into the stairwell. I didn't storm in. I didn't confront her. I ran. My daughter, my own daughter, actually said it would have been better if I'd been hit by a car. This was the child I raised on my own. How had she turned into this? Tears poured down my face. I wiped them away, but my ears were ringing, the world sinking into a strange, suffocating silence. Still, I couldn't stop listening. They must have taken the day off to come back. I heard them fumbling at the door, their voices getting closer. 200 grand in damages? That's ridiculous, Joe muttered. Doesn't your mom have a place up in Napa? She's living here now anyway, no one's using it. Might as well sell it. Honestly, she's lucky. That place is practically brand new. He nudged Lauren's arm, his voice low but urgent. If you're too soft to bring it up, I will. What's she gonna do with all that money anyway? It's not like she's leaving it to anyone else. Might as well use it now. Finally, the key slid into the lock. From the stairwell, I watched Lauren hesitate, then nod. Just watch your tone this time. That house. It was something she and my dad built together. She's always been protective of it. Don't piss her off like last time. Joe grinned. Hey, you know I'm blunt. I just say what's on my mind. But come on, she's got no one else but you. What's she gonna do, really? Boom. It was like thunder exploding in my head. They didn't respect me. They didn't care about what I had given to this family. I was just convenient. A woman with no husband, no parents, no one else to turn to. And the most terrifying part? I didn't fall into this trap on my own. My daughter walked me into it. And now that I was here, what was left to lose? Was I really afraid of losing a daughter who no longer saw me as her mother? I wiped the tears from my face, pushed open the stairwell door and walked into the house. They had just gotten the front door open. The look on their faces when they saw me, pure shock. Mom, I thought you had a fracture. What? How are you even out already? Emily, wait, you weren't behind us, were you? You didn't hear anything? I didn't answer. I walked straight toward the room that was supposed to be mine. But the moment I opened the door, a wave of rot hit me. The smell was thick, putrid, like garbage that had been left out in summer heat. The room was packed with crushed bottles, flattened boxes, trash bags piled on every surface. There wasn't even a place to step. Lauren and Joe followed me in, immediately covering their noses and backing away. Jesus, what is that smell? Joe gagged. Nancy was back to her old habits. She loved collecting bottles and cans from the community recycling station, claiming she was saving them to make a little money. But she never washed them, just dumped them in corners. The stink of decay would settle in days. I'd begged her to stop more than once. She'd always promise and go back to it 2 days later. And of course, my room was the only one in the house that wasn't locked. Anyone could walk in. "Mom, it's good you're back," Joe said through his fingers. "We seriously need to clean this place up." "Wait, what?" "The police." Joe snatched up the phone, his expression shifting instantly. He spun around and barked at Lauren, "We gotta go. Now." Then, just before slamming the door behind him, he shouted without turning back, "Don't forget to pick up Caleb." The door slammed shut with a heavy thud. Silence swallowed the house once again. I stood in the middle of the mess, surrounded by garbage and that stench, my heart sinking deeper into cold clarity. I had no more disappointment left for Lauren. As for Joe, I'd given up on him a long time ago. Failed. He was innocent. My eyes drifted to the little corner of the table. His picture book, his lunchbox, his tiny sneakers. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't bring myself to say, "I'm done." Even if it was the last time, I needed to pick him up. To say goodbye properly. The love I gave Caleb was never less than what I gave Lauren. At first, it was just because I loved Lauren deeply. Naturally, I loved her child. But as the days passed, watching him grow from a swaddled infant to a toddler wobbling on new legs, from babbling nonsense to full sentences, I witnessed every step of his life. By the time he started elementary school, he'd spent more time with me than with either of his parents. And Caleb wasn't an easy child. He wouldn't sleep unless someone held him. He had a weak stomach, constantly in and out of the ER over food sensitivities. I'd researched children's nutrition, invented meals just to get him to eat. I truly believed he would remember all of that. But that day when he walked out of school, his little face was long and sulking. I knelt down, concerned. "What's wrong, Caleb? Did someone pick on you at school?" He shook his head. Then, looking straight up at me, he said with complete seriousness, "Grandma, can you not live with us anymore? The past 2 days while you were gone, we had shrimp, McDonald's, and lots of yummy stuff. But now you're back, it's your cooking again." The words pierced me like a thorn straight into the heart. He wasn't joking. He meant it. I forced a smile. "But sweetie, you can't eat fast food every day. It's not healthy. You don't want to get sick, right? Or, do you mean you like what Grandpa and Grandma cooked better?" I remembered their cooking, every horrifying detail. When I first moved in, Joe couldn't tell sugar from salt. Nancy didn't even know how to use basic seasoning. Their food was either so salty it made your mouth pucker or so bland it was like chewing wet cardboard. One meal and I nearly threw up. Let Caleb eat that every day? He'd end up in urgent care before he even made it to recess. But he interrupted excitedly and pulled up his smart kid's watch, swiping open the photo album. "Look. These are all the dinners Grandpa and Grandma made while you were gone. Look at this one, steak, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese. And this one, pasta with meatballs." The photos showed table after table of beautifully plated meals, garlic bread, thick soups, even grilled vegetables. Nancy was captured mid-step, bringing a steaming pot from the kitchen. Joe was grinning, flipping something golden in a skillet. This wasn't beginner cooking. This was Food Network level. But Lauren had told me they didn't cook. That they only ordered takeout. That their kitchen was a disaster zone where even the utensils had to fight for space. Joe had even joked once, saying ever since I moved in they'd finally gotten real meals, and teased that I was their 5-star chef. Now I saw the truth. They could cook. They always could. They just faked incompetence, strung me along, and lured me into their home like some free full-time all-service maid. I looked down at Caleb's sweet, excited face. My toes burned, but my lips still curved into a gentle smile. "All right, sweetie. Grandma's going back to her own place today. I won't be staying with you anymore." His eyes lit up. He squealed like a kid opening presents on Christmas morning. "Yay. Grandma's finally leaving. Grandma's going home." Across the street lived a neighbor I was close with. Her granddaughter was in Caleb's class. We often shopped for groceries together, watched each other's kids when needed. When Caleb was at her house, I could finally breathe easy. That day I ordered pizza. Caleb lit up when he saw it, hugged the box and ran off to his friend's house without so much as a glance back. I stood at the doorstep, watching him skip happily toward the door, waving like he couldn't wait to forget I existed. The feeling that came over me wasn't anger. It was something colder. Like a wind cutting straight through my bones. Wasn't this your little darling? Lisa, my neighbor, chuckled as she opened her door and nodded at the pizza box in my hand. You finally let him eat that stuff? I figured the first thing you'd do getting out of that hospital was make him a pot of soup. Her eyes dropped to my knee. I get it. You still feel strong, like you can handle it all. But you've got to start thinking about your own health. You can't keep burning yourself out for everyone else. I forced a weak smile and didn't say much, just brushed it off with, I'm heading back home today. Won't be staying around anymore. Lisa paused, her expression shifting. You heard something, didn't you? She glanced down the hallway, making sure no one was around, then lowered her voice. The way she tiptoed into the question made my chest tighten. After everything I'd been through, I didn't need one more confirmation, but there it was. I lowered my eyes and let just a touch of heartbreak slip into my tone. I didn't expect it either. But I think it's better this way. I'm not staying here anymore. Hearing that, Lisa let out a slow sigh as if she'd been waiting for me to say it. Her face was full of something between guilt and relief. Don't let what they said get to you. People say dumb things all the time without thinking. But honestly, you're better off living on your own. You've got your retirement, your peace of mind. No one bossing you around. That's real freedom. Her words froze me. So all this time, even the people I thought were harmless, kind, maybe even clueless, had been talking behind my back. She went on. They say you just couldn't handle being alone after your daughter got married. That you moved in and refused to leave, kept volunteering for everything like you were afraid they'd kick you out. Unlike some people, they say you had a kid just to secure your future nursemaid. Joe and I, we had our son because we love each other. We'd never ask his wife's mom to live with us. I mean, where's the dignity in that? And don't get me started on chores. I once invited you to a community fitness class, remember? You wouldn't go. It was like you were afraid someone would take over your territory. My face went cold. Lisa must have noticed the shift because she gently patted my shoulder. Honey, I've known you long enough. You're not the scheming type. You're not a moocher. You put in money, effort, time. Hell, you practically ran that house. If this fall was what it took to finally open your eyes, maybe it wasn't such a bad thing after all, right? I nodded, my voice raspy. Maybe I really would have stayed blind forever if I hadn't fallen. I tried to smile, but it came out worse than a sob. Lisa didn't say much more. Before she left, she reached into her grocery bag and pulled out a small paper packet. Sunflowers, she said. They're tough. You plant them, they grow tall and bright. Just like you, girl. Long as you're breathing, there's always hope. I took the seeds like they were something sacred, something I'd been waiting for without realizing. I nodded slowly and deliberately. Then I headed home. The old house was coated in dust, untouched for months. But as I stood at the door, all I felt was fullness. This place, though worn and quiet, was mine. I didn't do anything else at first. I went straight to the store to catch up on the water, electricity, and gas bills. Then I tossed my phone aside, rolled up my sleeves, and started scrubbing. No one could boss me around anymore. No one could nitpick, shout, or shove me into a corner. The air here was mine, every breath of it. I scrubbed the kitchen top to bottom, wiped the windows in the living room, mopped the bedroom floors. By the time night fell, I realized my phone had been blowing up with messages. Mom, where the hell did you go? How could you just dump Caleb at someone else's house? What if something had happened to him? Would you take responsibility? There's no food at home. We're starving over here. Get back and make dinner already. You went back to Napa without saying a word? Do you even realize what a mess you left behind? All this fuss over a couple of things, Caleb said. He's just a kid. You're a grown woman. Can't you be the mature one? I scrolled through them without expression, my finger dragging slowly to the very last one. It wasn't a text, it was a voice message. Mom, I've just been so overwhelmed these past few days. I didn't mean to ignore you, really. Everything's been exhausting and, honestly, I don't think I can do it without you. I need you, Mom. I really do. Lauren's voice was soft, pleading, just like when she was little, crying and reaching out for me. But back then she needed comfort. Now she wanted control. I didn't believe for a second she didn't know why I left. She wasn't confused. She was calculated, packaging her request in helplessness so it'd be harder to say no. I opened my gallery, pulled up that photo Nancy had posted of their lavish seafood dinner, and forwarded it to Lauren. She never responded. When I checked her Facebook again later, the original post, the one showing off their feast, had quietly disappeared. You see, even when faced with the truth, she chose silence over accountability. But that night I slept like a rock. No one told me what to cook. No one waited for me to wash dishes. No one tossed their emotions at my feet and expected me to sweep them up. I ate whatever I wanted whenever I felt like it. No eyes watching. No guilt weighing down my fork. The house was so quiet I almost didn't recognize the peace. The next morning, I rummaged through the utility cabinet and found the sunflower seeds Lisa had given me before she left. I rolled up my sleeves, crouched down by the strip of soil along the side of the house, and planted each seed carefully, one by one. The sun was warm on my back. The smell of fresh earth was damp and honest, like something waiting to grow. This little town, my old neighborhood, was mostly made up of people my age now. Nobody here was still rushing off to the city to help out the kids. We weren't volunteer nannies. We chose to stay where life had made us strong. It was familiar, grounded, and dignified. My return stirred things up. Within days, neighbors started dropping by. One brought a carton of eggs. Another carried a bunch of fresh kale. Someone else showed up with a vacuum-sealed pack of bacon. "Emily, what brings you back so suddenly? Weren't you doing well in the city?" "Yeah. I just told my daughter I'd visit her in California in a few years, and look at you already back. You came just in time, girl. I'm still not done with my jam batch. Tomorrow you're coming over to help me stir. My kitchen's always open to you." Soon my little porch became a gathering spot. Chairs scraped across the pavement. Tea kettles whistled. Laughter rose up into the air like music. And in those small chats and belly laughs, I found something I didn't realize I'd lost: the feeling of being alive. I started planning my next chapter. I had only 2 goals now. Take care of my body. Take joy in my own life. The sunflowers hadn't even sprouted above the dirt yet when my phone rang. It was Lauren. She'd always called herself an independent woman. The kind who didn't sacrifice her identity for family, who chased her career, her freedom, her time. But the truth was that independence had been built on me. I was the one shuttling Caleb to school, cleaning the house, cooking late into the night, carrying their emotions like unpaid debt. Now that I'd been gone just a few days, her voice on the phone sounded paper-thin, like a scrap being whipped around by the wind. "Mom, are you still mad? Can you come home now? Please." My voice was calm. "I'm not mad. But I'm not coming back either. The chores, the childcare, you and Joe can divide them up. It's really not that hard. I just want to start living my own life again." Before she could answer, Joe's voice barreled into the line, loud, irate, and full of that same self-righteous thunder I'd grown used to. "Are you kidding me right now? We just lost 30 grand in that investment. Our savings are gone, and this is when you decide to bail. We're supposed to stick together as a family. You have any idea how many times Caleb's had diarrhea? We've taken him to urgent care 3 times. We're getting warnings at work for being late picking him up. My dad gave up fishing, my mom's stepping in, and you're out there living your best life." I didn't say a word. Just smiled faintly and switched the call to speakerphone, then set the phone down on the patio table. Let them rant. I had soil to turn. "Joe," I said softly, "raising your child and managing your home, that was always your job. I stepped in to help, not to replace you. But you took my help, twisted it into entitlement, and then gossiped behind my back, calling me a fool. I'm done playing that part." "Mom, that's not what he..." Lauren's voice jumped in, urgent, trying to mop up the mess. I cut her off. "Lauren, don't tell me what he meant. You've done this before. Joe throws the punches and you clean up after him. Then you ask me to come back like nothing happened. I used to feel sorry for you. Now I think I need to finally feel sorry for myself." Before I could say another word, a hand reached over and gently pulled me back. It was one of my neighbors. She marched right up to the phone, leaned over, and unleashed a voice as sharp as a slap. "Oh honey, shame on you. Helping your man trash-talk your own mother? All that college education and not an ounce of decency? You sit there sipping lattes and quoting podcasts while treating your mama like she's disposable." Another woman chimed in, loud and proud. "And that husband of yours? What a gem. Can't keep a job but sure can run his mouth. If ignorance were a sport, he'd have gold medals hanging off his ears." A third added, "Where's all that big talk now, huh? Cat got your tongue? Pathetic." Absolutely pathetic. My little porch had become a chorus of justice, each voice more brutal than the last, yet laced with a kind of fierce humor that made everyone laugh till their ribs hurt. They didn't need to understand my sunflowers, or why I left my daughter and grandson. All they needed to know was this: I'd always tried to be a good person, and for them that was enough. The line went quiet for a beat. Then Lauren's voice came back low and tight. You could have told me you had people around. I have something I need to deal with. Let's talk later. She hung up. I knew that tone. That little edge of pride she inherited from me, it had just cracked right down the middle. Whatever mask of grace she'd put on had just been torn off. And in a town like this, where stories traveled faster than gossip at a bake sale, I knew it would be a long time before she showed her face again. I tucked my phone away. My friends, still fired up, sipped their tea and joked about marching down to the city themselves to give Joe a piece of their minds. I chuckled along, then suddenly paused. Maybe I should go ask Lisa. She always knew things before anyone else did. Something had gone wrong. Lauren and Joe weren't just tired, they were desperate. And now I was starting to wonder. What exactly happened that made them beg me to come back? Did she call you? Lisa leaned in close, her voice low and urgent. Girl, don't you dare go back. I mean it, don't be stupid. You wouldn't believe the things they said about you after you left. Some of it was just nasty. Too nasty for me to even repeat. She pulled over a chair like she was settling in for a show. Subtle was never Lisa's style. After you left, guess who got stuck picking up Caleb from school every day? The in-laws. And let me tell you, Nancy was more committed to her Zumba class than making sure that kid got home in one piece. One afternoon she lost him at the grocery store. Full-on panic. The whole family tore through town looking for him. They almost called the cops. 3 screaming matches later and everyone still pointing fingers. She shook her head, clearly enjoying every detail. And the father-in-law? Mr. I have a pension and a boat, you remember. Well, turns out the guy he accidentally hit in that parking lot last year? Not so accidental. They crossed paths again. A fight broke out. The old man ended up in the ER with a broken hip. Now he's home, pissing off every home nurse they send. None of them last more than a week. That same smug couple who used to act like praising my cooking was a royal favor, they were now reduced to bitter, broken messes. I couldn't help it. I laughed. Lisa grinned and pressed on. With the old folks out of commission, guess who's juggling Caleb, dinner, groceries? That's right, Lauren and Joe. Thing is, their idea of cooking is a heart attack on a plate. Heavy cream, fried everything, salt like it's seasoning the ocean. Caleb's been in urgent care again. Stomach trouble. Shocker. And the money? She let out a low whistle. With your $3,000 pension gone? They're bleeding. You were their quiet little subsidy, and they didn't even know it. I nodded, amused. Every word hit home. Listen, she leaned in, voice dropping. You sound good. Strong. Clear. Don't ruin that by crawling back into their mess. I'm not being harsh, just honest. Your daughter and that man? They don't deserve you. You get lonely, we'll plan a girls' trip. But don't you dare go back. I smiled, but I knew perfectly well, this call was just for fun. A little gossip, a little tea. The idea of going back is their free help? Not a chance in hell. Maybe it was the catharsis of my friends roasting Lauren the other day, or maybe Lauren realized she couldn't spin this one, but she stopped calling. Meanwhile, life on my end just kept getting better. The sunflower leaves were broad now, their stalks reaching high toward the sun. On nice days I'd pull up a stool and sit among them, letting the warm light soak into my skin. Whenever I had free time I cleaned the house, really cleaned it. From roof to floorboards, kitchen to backyard. Every surface shone. I even started looking into new furniture, sketching plans to redesign every room. I wasn't great at interior design, so I filmed everything and asked for advice online. And to my surprise, the videos went viral. Comments poured in, suggestions on color palettes, lighting ideas, even full digital mock-ups from design students. I read every one, took notes and made updates, filming new videos to share progress. Someone even pointed out my garden wall looked too plain, so I painted it, added floral stencils. Turned out charming, really. But a pretty house wasn't enough. The yard needed to match. I bought seedlings, fruit trees, vines from the local nursery. Hired the town's retired carpenter to build me a wooden swing set and a solid outdoor dining table, all nestled under the old oak tree. It looked like something out of a lifestyle magazine. The whole place transformed. Viewers began calling it Emily's garden. I didn't say much in return, just opened up a few guest rooms, cleaned them out, and invited people who wanted to visit, take photos, or just meet the grandma from the internet. Life slowed down, but it wasn't empty. For the first time, the house felt like mine. Then my videos exploded. The Emily's Garden series lit up social media, spreading across every platform overnight. Each post racked up millions of views. Thousands of young people left comments saying they wanted to visit, stay a night, or simply have a cup of tea with me. At first, I thought it was just kind strangers showing kindness from afar. But then I started getting the last call I ever wanted. "Emily, you're famous." Joe's voice blared through the phone like a used car salesman on speaker mode. "A bunch of my coworkers saw your videos. Millions of views, Mom. You realize what this means? Sponsorships. Merch. You could make real money with this. This is huge." I frowned. That overflowing excitement, all that flattery, none of it made me happy. It just made my skin crawl. I started filming for joy, for connection, not profit. I welcomed visitors because they offered kindness when I was lonely. I never meant to turn this into a market stall. And let's not forget, this was the same man who once barked orders at me, belittled me, and treated me like a burden. Now suddenly I'm Mom again, just because I've become valuable? I said nothing. He kept rambling like this house, this account, these followers were assets he could manage. I finally spoke, cold and even. "Don't even think about it. None of this has anything to do with you. I just want to live my life in peace. Leave me out of your mess." In the past he'd have snapped. But this time he hesitated, then passed the phone to Lauren. "Mom," she said, voice softened though still laced with urgency. "We really need your help. We're family. Families don't hold grudges forever, right?" She paused. Then gentler. "Maybe Joe and I could come visit in a few days? Just to check in." Of course she wanted to come. But she wasn't here to check in on me. I knew exactly what that visit was really about. Lisa had just dropped off some fresh news. They said Joe's mother had relapsed, same old hoarding habits, worse than ever. Lisa didn't mince words when she told me. She hides stuff now. Under the bed, behind cabinets, even inside the damn kitchen sink. The house is a biohazard. Joe's got insomnia, migraines, got fired after messing up at work. Whole family's been in and out of the hospital. But the worst hit. His father. That hip injury never fully healed. No. He's completely bedridden. A real vegetable. Lisa leaned in and said it straight. They're broke. No job. No help. Honey, to them you're a walking retirement plan. You better lock that gate. I nodded. I already had. First step, change the locks. I picked up my phone and called them back. My voice was steady, firm. Don't bother coming. I changed the locks. Even if you show up, you're not getting in. I don't want to see either of you. There was a beat of silence. Then Lauren's voice shot up like a panic alarm. I'm your only daughter. Are you seriously going to sit there and watch me suffer? Don't forget, you're gonna need me to take care of you someday. That wasn't anger. That was fear. She finally understood. I wasn't bluffing. I'd always been her safety net. Before marriage, she lived under my roof. After marriage, I lived under hers, but it was always me running her life from the background. Now that I stepped away, she realized just how much she needed me. She was terrified. My voice was soft. But for the first time it didn't waver. That's fine. I don't need you to take care of me. I've got myself, and that's more than enough. I hung up. Outside, the garden was glowing. Flowers in bloom, sunlight pooling across the wooden bench, a warm breeze carrying the scent of soil and herbs. Peace. For the first time in years. But it didn't last long. Just 2 days later, I saw the last people I wanted anywhere near my door. I'd just finished trimming the rose hedges when a noise stirred by the gate. I stepped outside and there they were. Joe and Lauren. And they hadn't come empty-handed. Joe had that fake smile plastered on, pushing a wheelchair with his father slumped inside, drooling and vacant-eyed. Lauren had her head down, silent. She knew what this was. Ever since the garden blew up online, I'd installed a wooden fence and gate. Without my say-so, they couldn't even step onto the porch. So they stood there, necks craned, voices trying to pierce the distance. Mom, could you just open the gate? We had a long drive, we're exhausted. Lauren tugged Caleb forward. Come on, sweetie, say what you said in the car. The boy looked thinner, clearly worn. He stepped forward, looking up at me with wide eyes, his voice soft as cotton. Grandma, can I come in? I miss your cooking. I want to eat dinner with you again. Please? I didn't flinch. I knelt to his eye level, looked him right in the face. No, sweetheart. Grandma lives in her own house now. And you have your own home too. Wasn't that what you said? The moment I said it, his face twisted. Tears filled his eyes. He turned and clung to Lauren's leg, wailing. Grandma is mean. I hate her. Mommy, didn't you say this is our house? Let's kick her out. I don't want Grandma anymore. Lauren rushed to cover his mouth, but it was too late. I heard it. So did the neighbors. And they did not hold back. Who teaches a kid to talk like that? Only heartless adults feed that kind of poison to a child. You people think you're entitled to everything? Her house, her peace? Get out of here. Touch her and I swear I'll cough on you with a virus I haven't even named yet. I'll sue you into bankruptcy. That man in the chair? God probably saw what he did and said, you're done. And the wife? Look at her. Face like spoiled milk, voice like a mosquito. You think she came to help? She came to leech. Their words flew fast and sharp. I couldn't help it, I laughed. Joe and Lauren were still trying to cry their way into sympathy, but I saw right through it. Just as they thought I was about to crack, I unlocked the gate. And walked out. Mom, please. 2 clean, hard slaps. Precise. Final. 1 on each face. Their skin flushed red immediately. That's for scheming against me. And that's for wishing I got hit by a car. Come back again and I won't just slap you. Joe's face twisted. He raised his hand ready to hit back. But someone shouted from the porch. Everyone record this. This punk's about to hit his mother-in-law. I turned. Half the garden was full of guests, phones raised, recording, microphones on, catching every frame in 4K. Joe froze. Rage turned to horror. He remembered where he was. This was the internet age. They slinked off, humiliated. I'd had a feeling they'd pull something. That's why I'd already warned the guests staying at my place. Stream it all, let the world see. They wanted attention. They got it. I dusted off my hands and smiled at the crowd. All right, y'all. BBQ's on me tonight. The wind swept through the garden, flowers dancing, golden light spilling over every smiling face. And I thought to myself, this is the life.